Welcome to Papa's Workshop. In many different videos, I've shown you how to be able to organize your drawers. And we've used box joint type boxes and all types of different methods to be able to do it. And it's great if you have a CNC machine, but what happens if you're just starting out in woodworking and you have a table saw and you really don't have a lot of other tools? Well, today I want to show you how you can make those dividers and then organize those drawers without having the CNC machine and doing it really easily on the table saw. So let's get started. I want to take this opportunity to thank my Patreon. Their support for this channel is absolutely amazing. And if you'd like to be able to join the Patreon family, please go to patreon.com/papawsworkshop. In today's video, we're making these bins to be able to organize the drawers. Okay, this is real embarrassing, but I think it's important to be able to show you these drawers. They are full of stuff that I use every day, but it's a mess and it's completely disorganized. So today, we're going to solve that problem once and for all. Now in this drawer, I've got a lot of electronics and different things in here, and we're going to pull all of this out and get rid of all of the sawdust that's in here. And we're going to make a home for all of this. And there's an awful lot of sawdust in here too that we're going to get rid of. You even have the leftovers from one of my grandkids that came to visit. So now that's all that's left over is a bunch of sawdust. I'm going to go dump that and clean out this drawer. Now we have a nice clean drawer to be able to work with. And I actually want to make two layers. I want to make one layer all the way across the whole entire bottom. And then I want to make a second layer that will slide back and forth. So the first thing I want to do, let's see how high this is. So this is 4.5 inches from the bottom of the drawer up to the top. So I can make 2.25 inches thick down here to be able to hold a lot of the small things. And then another section that's 2.25 inches thick to be able to hold this top portion, to be able to really maximize the storage. Now the next thing I want to do is be able to go ahead and measure the complete length of this and the width. So I'm going to write this information down. Okay, and let's measure it this way also. 22 3/8. So now that I have both the length and the width, and I know how high that I want them, I'm going to go ahead and cut some pieces of wood to be able to do that. Now, one of the things I want to be able to make sure of, I want to be able to make sure I can get all of the different pencils in here that I use. And the longest pencil, that's a brand new one that's 7.5 inches long. This one's pretty new also. And I'll bet you that one, well, just under 7.25 inches. So if I make this pocket for 7.5 inches long, so that would work. Now for the items that I want to put in here, such as my screwdriver, my electric screwdriver, my pencils, so that can go in there. I want to be able to keep a tape measure in there. I want to be able to put this laser in here. And I have extra cords that I want to be able to put in here also. In this section, I do want to include the microphones. So I'm going to put that in here too. And because these are actually fairly bulky items, I think all I'm going to do is divide this drawer into thirds and make this roughly about just under 5 inches. So I'll just divide this into 3. That will accommodate this nicely. And here I'm going to make this 7.5. And these will be basically 7.5 inches. And that will accommodate the pencils in here, my screwdriver, tape measure. Probably can put a couple of tape measures in there. And then I can put laser, cord, the microphones, all of those different items in. Now as far as this, I want to see, this one is 12 inches. So So what I can do is take out this one right here, and I can be able to put this long camera mount right into this spot. So that's basically what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and cut these pieces. Like I said, there's nothing fancy about this, and you can set this up for any configuration that you want, and I'm not trying to be exact with this. This is something that you can do very, very easily. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and set up and cut the strips, the 2 1/4 inches wide. And then we'll cut them to length after I have the whole group together. Now I'm using some leftover MDF to be able to do this, and I've got several pieces of leftover material that I'm going to find the pieces that I need and cut out of it, and just trying to use it up. And this is far better to be able to use it for projects like this rather than just throwing it in the trash can. I really hate throwing away wood of any kind in the trash can. Now again, these first strips are 2 1/4 inches. Now yours can be whatever you need to be able to have depending on the depth of the drawer. I just have to be able to work with, the measurements that I have. So please keep that in mind when you're designing this for your drawers, to be able to have the organizers make it work for your situation. So the dimensions here are really not that important. What I'm trying to show is the actual process and the method by which you can make your own and have a successful project in your shop. So I can get one of my side pieces in here, so I'm going to flip this over and cut it. Now, like I said, I'm trying to use up as much of the scraps that I can, because actually, right outside of the camera range, if I really needed to, I do have a full piece of a 2 foot by 4 foot piece. I really don't want to cut that unless I absolutely have to. And this little small scrap, I'll save for another project. Okay, now that I've got all the pieces cut, I'm gathering up 4 of them, because I need 4 for this first section, and I want to be able to get it all squared up. Now I'm using a fence to be able to make sure the ends are butted even, and I'm using a miter gauge to be able to make sure that it's square. Now I'm not cutting anything. This is just to be able to have for a reference, and I'm going to tape these 4 pieces together. At the miter saw, all I need to do is just take my stop block, set up the correct measurement, and I'll lock that in place. Now with these 4 pieces taped together, that will ensure that I cut the exact same length all at one time. It'll save a little time, and it's actually a little bit more accurate that way. So we'll get these cut, and then it'll be back over to the table saw. But first, let's check to make sure they fit in the drawer. Well, here we go. Let's see if they fit. Oh, that's going to be perfect. Okay, it's time to repeat the process now, and I want to cut the cross members to be able to come across this way. So it's back to the table saw, and let's get that done. All right, now let's check these, make sure that they fit, and yes, they do. That is perfect. Now it's time to be able to create the slots. I want to cut these slots 7.5 inches from the bottom. That's going to accommodate those pencils. That was my first slot. Now the next slot that I'm going to make is about the same thing. We'll cut that one about 7.5. Now keep in mind, you can configure this any way that you want. Now I've got some fairly large and bulky items that I want to put in here, so the compartments are a little bit larger. If you have some smaller items that you want to put in there, well, by all means, make these little compartments smaller to be able to accommodate the items that you want in. Now I did use a little scrap piece of wood to be able to get the thickness. Now we'll go over to the table saw and cut these slots. The idea behind this is we're going to cut these slots about halfway through the material. Now if I wanted to be 100% precise, I would want to cut it dead on exactly halfway. But again, I don't need to be that exact. If I make it just a little bit deeper, in other words, just a little bit more than halfway, that will be perfectly fine. They will work, and they will work perfectly. Now that I have the blade set to the height that I want it, I have my pencil line that gives me exactly where I want to be able to make the cut. Then I can go ahead and cut out the slots with the table saw. These slots are basically 1/4 of an inch wide. And no, I did not measure them. I don't really need to with the pencil lines. So it does take a couple of passes to be able to get this done with the 1/8 inch blade. And I just make sure I cut again to get that center section just so it's a nice clean slot. Now I want to take a scrap piece of wood and just check to make sure that it fits in smoothly. Once that's done, hey, it's back to the drawer. Let's go ahead and set this in there, and this portion is done. All right, with these cut, let's go ahead and drop them in place. There we go. Then we'll take these two. There we go. And this bottom one is done. So now I can go ahead and put this in here. I can put my tape measures in there and take all my pencils and put them into this spot. We'll be able to have this spot for the cords. The laser can fit right into this area. And this is where the microphone can sit. So this is much better organized than what it was before. I like to be able to keep the X, Y, and Z probe in here. And I also have the Z probe that I can put into this compartment also. Tape measure can still fit into here. And that's looking good. And I still have room back here for some more items. One of the things that I can put in here also are all of the bump stops. So this is looking really, really good. I like this a lot. Now the next thing I want to do is go ahead and build the next shelf that has the tray right in here that can slide back and forth. First thing I'm going to do, because I'm limited on material, I'm going to cut the actual base out first, and then whatever's left over, I'll use to cut the last of my sides. Okay, I've got my base cut. I can just drop it in. And let's see how that works. That's going to work just fine. This will be able to slide back and forth. I'll have access to my supplies here. And then I can slide it back and have access here. So this is going to work out good. And I can easily just lift the tray out to be able to get to anything at all. And these items, I think I'm going to put right here because I don't use them as often. And I'll slide the bump stops into this spot. I'll put the laser up here. Let's see, I'll put the laser over here. I think that would be a better spot for it. And I keep a collection of knives. I use those a lot. And that, I think, will be a better arrangement. And just lift up and grab the bump stops, microphone, and those. Now, depending on the configuration, the ideal way would be able to have this divider right here in half. And that way, these compartments would have been smaller, and I'd have had 6 compartments here, and I'd have had full access. But because of the type of supplies that I wanted to put in here, that really wasn't an option. So this was the next best choice. And I think this is still going to give me a lot of storage space and a much better organized drawer. Now to be able to get the exact height that I need, all I need to do is just put a little mark like that. And I can transfer this over to the table saw. And I'm going to go ahead and cut 4 pieces out of this. And that'll take care of all my slots going this direction. I went ahead and set the fence up to the correct measurement, and now it's time just to be able to go ahead and cut these 4 pieces. Now I'm going to line all 4 of these exactly the same way. So that way they're all pushed down and I can cut these off even. Verify that that is correct, and I'll do one on the other end. Now, that is done. This is my actual length, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this off at the miter saw. Okay, now that I've got all these done, we'll get the tape off of them, and now we'll be able to set these out here. And these will drop, let's put this one in, and these will just drop right into place. And the next one, we'll have one on the end, just like that. And we'll have one on this end. Okay, and that will be the tray. I'm just going to go ahead and glue this up off camera, and we'll test it out. But I think that's going to work just perfect. Look at that. Fantastic. Now I have all four sides glued together, so I can just slip these out now and glue them or not glue them. They really don't need it, because that's going to hold just fine. That way, should I need a bigger compartment, I can just take this out and use it. So this will add the versatility to it. So this drawer now, because it's all glued together, is ready to go in. So this one's all set now, and this will just drop in. I can access this very easily. I can pull this down, access the back. Should I need to be able to have larger compartments, all I need to do is just slip the divider out. For now, I'm going to keep it in there. And this project is done. I'll just go ahead and fill this up now and put this drawer back in. So, with this now, gives a lot of function. And I can just slide that right up and have access to the bottom portion. And I think that is a much, much better organized drawer than this drawer. So this one is next. I'm going to set up the same arrangement as I have for this drawer. This is so much nicer. That tray slides so easy, and I have direct access to everything that I need. This is fantastic. Now this project today was made out of all scraps that I almost had thrown in the trash can. I'm glad I saved them because I was able to use those pieces in making this project. Now I've got one more set to build for the other drawer, but I think that you can see that this is a very easy project to do, and I'm going to include this in the beginner series because it's something that anybody can do with just the table saw. If you like this video today, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and please don't forget, while you're there, hit the little subscribe button right down there and the little bell notification next to it. That way you'll be notified when I upload additional videos. I've got quite a few projects right now that's in the works, and you're not going to want to miss out. So again, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next project that I do, whatever that may be.